everyone, and welcome to another episode of FTU Life After the Military. Today's date is June 29th, 2024. Coming to the end of June here. Just started out with summer, but it feels like I don't know, this feels like it's going to be the summer that never ends because it's just been ridiculously hot over this past week. And I don't know, I'm glad I am retired and no longer in the military. Because having to go outside and do airborne operations or road marches or just anything outside at this point would just be stupid, right? As it is, I still work at Fort Liberty and work in one of the older buildings, and the AC is not working properly, and so I do research. So I shut my lights off because I have fluorescent lights, so I sit in the dark and the screen is bright enough, so it does provides me enough light. And I was telling my coworkers that as the day goes on and the temperature increases in the room, it's gotten up to about 86 in my office, which is uncomfortable. And so I tell them I start working underneath my desk. I laid out like a sheet, and I'll just put my laptop down there and I just work underneath my desk because it's cooler. The floor is concrete, so it's a little bit cooler. And they think I'm ridiculous, but um, you know, it's my choice, and I'm not breaking any rules. I'm not hurting anybody. And the other option is I've informed my bosses like, well, I'm more than willing to telework, which that of course didn't go over too well. So it's like, okay, then I'm gonna keep the lights off and I'm gonna sit on the floor and take as many breaks to go sit outside in my car and turn the AC on as I see fit, because it's just too damn hot. So if you're out there working and outside in construction or something, you have my thanks, because that's hard work and it's something I've never wanted to do. And even if I wanted to do it right now, I don't think my body would allow me to do that. Okay, so with that aside, there's three things I want to talk about this week. One, it's an interaction I had with a retired colonel who was trying to convince me that he transitioned out of the military. He left the military behind. Two, I want to talk about life insurance. Life insurance is pretty important, right? And you're going to talk to people and you're going to hear a whole lot of stuff and about like when you should get it. Should you get SGLI, VGLI? What's more important, right? So we're going to discuss that. But the first topic I want to talk about is something that I saw. It was, I still work on the military installation, but I try to like take a step back away from what's going on in the military. But it's difficult to be to completely walk away from it because I have people that ask my opinions on things and like the recruiting crisis for the military, which I don't care. That's not my problem. Why would I care about that? It has nothing to do with me. I've done my time. And of course, you have these hypothetical situations. And I hate hypothetical situations because people talk about, well, what if they implement a draft? And what if they, say that women have to sign up for the draft? And what if we're attacked? And my response is always, well, what if I just come across this table and stab you in the effing face? And that pretty much ends the what if conversation, right? Because I hate it when you have to come up with the what if and create these very specific scenarios. Then that means you don't have a very good argument. You don't have a very good point. You're just grasping at straws and trying to prove some stupid point that just doesn't matter anyways because we're retired and we should be worried about other things like watering my lawn or playing golf or walking a mile this morning so I can just get outside and get some exercise. Minor things like that, right? Not worrying about stuff that I have no control over. It just doesn't matter. But it was brought to my attention about this, how the peer pressure in the military, like you're not supposed to talk about anything. You're not supposed to if you know that something's going on, like you're supposed to stay quiet because snitches get stitches. And for the longest time, that was true. I would say the first 9 years of my military career, I would just like keep my mouth shut and turn my head. But then when I got my field grade, when I earned my field grade Article 15, and I earned my general letter of reprimand, I say that because generals just don't go out and write a letter, right? They don't. Like they're too busy doing whatever, I don't know, defending themselves in a court martial like that Air Force general is in San Antonio right now, that 2-star, right? But they don't just like hand, not everybody is given a general letter of reprimand. I earned mine, so I'm pretty proud of that, right? And the reason why I bring this up is because once that happened, my so-called friends all turned their backs on me, and there were very few people who still want to acknowledge my existence again, right? The same names as always: Drew, Jesse, Junior, Juan, and then later Al, Orlando, and John, right? But when I would go overseas and I was given a sack of shit mission because a bunch of poppies wanted to go down to Peru and party, Benny Goodtimes. People ask, like, why do I hate Benny Goodtimes so much? Well, Benny Goodtimes is the biggest idiot on the face of the planet. He's a moron, right? I'd be amazed if his IQ got up into the double digits. But he went into Peru, and Benny Goodtimes and his crew there, they were having a good old time. And the Peruvians knew Benny. They would ask me, like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? And I'd pretend I didn't know. It's like, the one who liked to dance, the one who liked to, he liked to party. Se gusta bailar, se gusta tomar. So I don't know. It's like, then they would like press the buttons, right? It's like, the one who liked the really young girls, the 17, 16-year-olds. Oh, sweet Jesus. So yeah, when I came back, I ran my mouth because Benny Goodtimes had these people, these young girls doing his paperwork, right? It's called what is it again? I forget what it's called, but the military basically gives you money, right? And so you could go purchase things, like you could pay for gas, or you could pay for, like, if you need office supplies, right? But you have to fill out your forms, right? And you have to attach a receipt with them. Well, Benny showed his little girlfriend how to do that, and she did them all for him, right? And so yeah, that jackass left me with so many problems. Like, why would I not? Why would I keep my mouth shut? If I kept my mouth shut, it would just happen over and over again. That's why when I became a first sergeant, the company was supposed to head down to South America, to Latin America, right? And I didn't have enough Spanish speakers for each team, and they said, "Hey, we could send Benny over there." I was like, "No, you're not." And I banned that jackass from my company. I said, "If you ever come over here again, I will take the guide on and I will harpoon you." Because he was an idiot and he was a bad influence, and nobody ever wanted to tell him that, right? But this is also somebody who, at least I think he's self-aware, because he's still in the military, because he knows when he gets out, what is there? Not a whole lot. And so I bring this up. We're going to transition into, the whole snitches get stitches stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm not the person to say whether you should rat people out or not. I said, for me, on that mission, I did because I just had enough. Like, how much crap are you supposed to take, right? We all have our tipping point, and I reached it on that mission, because nobody should have to. Pardon my French. Nobody should have to unfuck that. It shouldn't come down to that. But I did, and I'm still upset. I'm still offended that jackass can say that he was in special operations. There's nothing special about me, right? And I know that. But for United States Army Special Operations Command to allow that jackass into special operations, there's a problem. There is. All right, so that we're transition over into transitioning out of the military, right? I had this discussion. I met somebody. I'm going to call him Bob, Colonel Bob, right? I met Colonel Bob this week, and Colonel Bob was talking about one of my many bosses said, "Hey, you could come talk to maybe he might be able to assist you in some of your briefs that you give to these young soldiers." I already knew that the answer was no. I don't need another colonel. Colonels are a dime a dozen. Retired colonels are a dime a dozen. There's nothing special about you. If you think there are, if there is, I'm sorry to break it to you, there isn't. There just isn't. Right? You're like everybody else. You're now a retiree. That's it. And that's fine. That should be enough. And if it's not, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Um, but anyway, Bob kept on. He was telling me, it's like, oh, I heard you have a podcast. Like, yeah, it's about transition out of the military. So, oh, I've left the military behind. I had a great time. I did 30 years, and now I'm, transitioned out, and just, I'm a consultant and freelancing. So if you ever need me to speak to your guys, and so of course I asked, oh, okay, great. Well, I cover Indo-PACOM and Southcom, and parts of CENTCOM. It's like, oh wow, just like, can you help me out? It's like, well, I've never worked with Indo-PACOM or Southcom. It's like, then I'm thinking to myself, why are you talk? Why do I have to talk to this jackass? Right? Like, you're wasting my time. I have actual things to do. But all right, I'll show you some common courtesy. Excuse me. I said, yeah, well, I was he worked somewhere in Kuwait, right? And it's like, okay. And we started talking about Iraq, and he's showing me on a board, like he pulled out a marker and he's showing on the whiteboard about the initial invasion when Third ID went in there, and then we followed behind in the 82nd, and talking about the Kurds coming up from the top and causing the distraction. It's like, and this is what happens. Like, yeah, I know I was there. It's like, no, but let me explain it to you. So I asked him, it's like, were you there? It's like, well, no, I didn't deploy for that. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, what are we doing? I have somebody explaining my life experience to me, right? And everybody there is calling him sir, right? And he introduced himself as Colonel Bob so-and-so, right? And like, awesome. And he was talking about, like, if I was in the BFW, it's like, yeah, I joined a chapter, but I don't really go because it seems like that's where people go when they have, in the later parts of their lives, where they just want to go hang out with people and just, like, they've reached all their goals, and now they're, I mean, sorry to say it, but it seems like they're just waiting to die, right? And they just want to have some companionship while they're waiting to die. And have at it, man. Like, you go all you want. I like what the VFW is doing, but I still have a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. So I don't have time to go out there and hang out. I don't. Um, and Bob was telling me that he went into the VFW, and that he felt like a rock star because he went in there in his dress uniform and his pinks. I said, oh, okay, so you were still in? It's like, no, I had been retired for a year, but I went in there this Memorial Day. I went in my dress uniform. It's like, why? It's like, people were asking me for an autograph. They want to take pictures with me. Why are you wearing your dress uniform if you're retired? It's like, I couldn't understand this. It's like, and it took me maybe about 10 minutes after I ended the conversation with Bob. Just so you know, I would never use this guy to, like, talk to any of the young soldiers, because this guy's trying to do is he's just trying to make an easy buck, right? And I don't need somebody to talk about military science theory, like, take that shit and flush it down the toilet, because I don't need that, right? But what I understood, what I came to realize, was each person's transition is different. When you get out, if you still want people to refer to you as colonel or first sergeant retired, who cares? Have at it. It's your life. You live it however you want. Like I said, I'm working on this PhD. And once I finish, I'm going to have everybody on this planet, everybody I meet, you address me as doctor. Now, after a day, I'm not even going to say a day. After about, I don't know, 4 hours, I'm probably going to get tired of it. It's like, all right, let's go back to Tony, right? Except for my granddaughter. She's going to have to call me Dr. Grandpa for at least, I don't know, a week to teach her a lesson. She's so goddamn stubborn, that little girl. That's besides the point, right? So, yeah, whatever, man. Like, if you still want to be hunkered down into the military life, and that's your identity, if that's what makes you happy, okay. If you need a month to transition, to let go of that, or a year, or 5 years, or a decade. Who cares? There's no timetable, right? There's no checklist of, oh, well, you have to do this. There's no algorithm for what you have to do to transition out. It's till you feel comfortable, right? I joined the VFW because there was this quietness once I got out of the military, right? So I needed something. So I started this podcast. Started a PhD program. I learned how to code in Python, right? I just finished this data analytics program, earned my PMP. Did a lot of stuff to stay occupied so I didn't lose my mind, right? And I'm still doing things. But what I realized is that I like being the one man show. I like being the lone wolf. And that's okay. I still get out, I still go have lunch with people, but I'm not doing it daily or weekly. I'm doing it when it works for me and when it works for them, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, just on my schedule. It has to work for everyone. And that's all right. It's whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel complete, right? I was reading something today about anxiety, about, there's like 9 different markers, right? Like you have to hurry up and make sure that you finish everything, right? You never want to be late, right? The military instilled that in me. There were 9 labels, right? I had 6 of them, and I still have that, and it bothers me. Like this morning, my daughter wanted to go have lunch with her friends, so I drove her out there. I woke up at 5:30, and then again at 6:30, and then again at 7:30 because I wanted to go run, and I didn't want to be late. Um, Take her, right? We were leaving at like 11 o'clock. It's 10:45. She's still in bed, right? But I'm the jackass who is worried about being late, right? It's Saturday, and she's going to go have lunch with her friends from high school, right? There's nothing going on. Why was I wake? Why did I wake up 3 times? Right? It's just still that anxiety I have about being late, and so I'm working on that. I'm getting better. Some days are better than others. Well, nobody's perfect. So yeah, just figure out what you want to do. I don't care if you want me to address you as the Ayatollah of rock and roll. I'll do it, man. Like I couldn't care less. If that makes you happy, okay. Not addressing anybody by the military rank. Don't ask for that because it's not going to happen unless you're still in the military. Then yeah, I will. I'll sure, Colonel, General. If you're an E1 and you want me to address you as private, okay. If you want me to address you as private first class in the Army, okay. What do I care? What do I care? If you're a retiree, not going to do it. Just not. Now, I want to say, right, if I ever needed to have like a colonel speak to soldiers, it'd be Scott Story, right? Hands down, Scott Story. Or Stacy. I don't give her name out, her last name, because Stacy is not pursuing that. She's not trying to be a consultant. She's not trying to be a public speaker. She's living her life. But it'd be one of those two. Um, because they're leaders. When they make a mistake, they own that mistake. When there's a success, it's a team success, not just their success. And I appreciate that, right? So that leads me into life insurance, right? Life insurance. So the VFW and the VA, they have these programs where if you're broken down and you can't get a fair shake with life insurance policy, you can the VFW, they'll give you $50,000 life insurance for like $35 a month, and no medical screening whatsoever. You're good to go, and that's pretty good. Right? If like you have high blood pressure, you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, you're overweight, whatever it might be, then yeah, I would suggest getting something like that. I would not get BGLI. BGLI goes up, every 5 years it goes up, and the premiums are just ridiculous. If you're like if you're 65, you're paying something like $800, $1,000 a month. It's like that's just too much, and that's for like $250,000 worth of life insurance. It's just not worth it. But that's your decision. If you want to go the VGLI way, then go ahead. If you want to go that route, go right ahead. That's up to you. I would not suggest that. Um, the VA is also offering $40,000, and I forget what it is. I think it's like a $50 premium per month. So $50, that's about $600 a year, right? For 40,000. If you get the VFW, that's another what 30. We'll say 40 times 12, 480. Oh, $480 a year for. So if you get them both, you're looking at about $1,100 for about $90,000 worth of life insurance, which is not very good, right? I have mentioned that I got the SBP when I got out to make sure that if I pass away, my wife can still get some of my retirement, which isn't going to be much. It's only going to be about $1,600 a month. But I had the VFW insurance. I just dropped that because I got approved by Banner Life for a 15-year policy for $350,000 of life insurance, and my premium is $60 a month. So less than half of what I was paying. I mean, it's a little bit, if you double the VFW, it still isn't. It isn't double what the VFW payment was, right? But I'm getting 7 times the amount for life insurance. And I know people are going to ask me, well, why did you only get 15 years? Well, because I'm 50, right? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 other policies, right? And this will take me up to 1.6 million, right? But I don't want to pay premiums for 1.6 million worth of life insurance until I'm 78, because that's when the last policy ends, when I'm 78. Probably not going to make it there. All right, probably not. But at 65, do I need this 350,000? Probably not, because I'll have the other ones, right? And then at 68, one of them falls off, and then so I'll have 3. And at 75, or at 73, 2 of them falls off, and when I'm 78, the last one falls off. So I have them going in stages because that works for me, right? Because we own 2 houses. So at 65, yeah, I'm selling both these houses. Maybe even before then, maybe at 60. But either way, there's other money to take care of my spouse if I die. But this is a good way to have a little bit more buffer because of inflation and because I don't have complete trust in. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket, right? So I have life insurance through 2 policies through USAA, one in Banner Life, one in, I think, Midland. I forget which one, Midland, and then one with State Farm, right? So that's 4 different insurance agencies. One of them is probably going to give my spouse a hard time. So that still leaves the other 3 with 4 policies, right? So that's why I'm doing it. And people are going to say, oh, make sure you're going to hear veterans, you're going to hear everybody say, make sure you get your insurance before you get out. You should go and get as much insurance as you think is necessary so you can take care of your family. The $400,000 that the military offers, it is not enough. I'm telling you that right here, right now, it is not enough. That's some propaganda bullshit that the military puts out to make you feel better. It's not enough, especially if you have little ones. If you have a wife or a husband who stay home and they don't work, and you have 2 or 3 kids, $400,000 is going to go quick. So you need more. All right. It just hands down. You need more. 400,000 will not get it done. You need at least $1 million. And that's not enough for the rest of their lives. That's just enough to hold them over for maybe the next 10 years. That's not even covering college. All right. That's just enough to hold them over for the next 10 years. And people are going to say, 10 years, that's $100,000 a year. It's like, yeah, jackass. I know. You don't want your family, if you pass away, to be going down, to have to go down to the food banks or go collect the government cheese, right? I knocked the government cheese, but we ate government cheese when I was growing up, and it wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, right? It's better than MREs, better than C-rats. Um, but yeah, get the insurance, and if you don't get it, then do like I did because I've been out for 2 years now, and go get a quote, and they're going to tell you that insurance agency wants your money, they want your business. So they're going to give you a quote and they're going to say, well, you're in the military, you're this age. So the best price we could give you is $50. That's what they told me. The best price we could give you is like $50 a month. But because of your conditions, because of the way our estimate is, we're going to estimate it at $80 a month, right? I went, did my med screening. Blood pressure came in at 115 over 70, right? Blood glucose, right? The entire time I was in the military, that my surgeon wanted me to be diabetic. She was like, every 2 months I had to go fast and have my blood drawn so she could check it, right? And for 20 years, 22 years, it came in at 107, between 105 and 107. Want to go have it done last month, it came in at 94, my fasting blood sugar level. I don't know, maybe because I'm taking care of myself and I'm not, stress eating anymore and worrying about stupid shit. So yeah, my blood pressure and my blood sugar levels and my cholesterol came in at 210. They said, well, that's a little high. The reason why it came in high was because my HCl, the good cholesterol, right, the one that you get from eating fish, came in at 66. They want it between 45 and 55, right? Because it's hard for people to get their HCl up. I like eating tilapia, right? So mine came in at 66. That's why it was 210. If I didn't eat so much tilapia, it would have came in under 200. So it's a long way. It's a lot of words for saying that even though both shoulders need to be replaced, my left hip, my left knee, they need to be replaced, and my L1 to my S1 needs to be fused. They didn't care about it. Did not care one bit. Because they asked, what's my occupation? I'm an analyst, right? This is what I do. Okay. What's your typical day? I sit behind a computer and I type. Okay. Do you own a motorcycle? No. You going to buy one? No. You going to skydive? No. You going to scuba dive? No. Okay. Ask me, do you have sleep apnea? It's like, yes. Like, how bad was it? Gave them my record. Like, okay. It's not really a big deal. It's like, you're very, very mild. Not a big deal. My monthly premium came in at $60 a month. All right. All of my ailments caused my premium to go from $50 to $60, and it's locked in for the next 15 years. So for all those experts that tell you, oh, make sure you get your insurance before you get out, what do they know? Are they retired? No. Have they left the military? No. So what the hell do they know? And secondly, this is the most important part. Even if they're retired, retirees don't know everything. I don't know everything. So you should look this up. My point is, what is it going to hurt to go get a quote from an insurance agency? You're not paying them anything. What's the worst they're going to say? These people could have said, okay, well, your premium is going to be $500 a month. It's like, no, I don't want it. Then that would have been the end of it. So just go, have it checked out. It's not going to hurt you. All right, so we're going on 30 minutes, so we're going to end this because I have a big afternoon of taking a nap. And, it's really hot out there. So, guys, just make sure, just be careful. Don't be out there doing, hard work in the summer. There's no reason. I went for a run the other day. It was like 5:30 in the evening, and it was still about 90 degrees. It's like that was stupid. There's no reason for that. If I miss a day, who cares, right? So yeah, just take care of yourself. So for those people who are transitioning, just know that you're not alone. There are a lot of people out there who are willing to help you. If you don't know where to start on where to get your resume or how to format it, go to teal.com, teal.com, and it'll put in the information in there. You can also use Copilot to look like for descriptions for your job or a job that you think you might want, and it will give you a description. So you could just cut and paste right into Teal, and Teal will format it for you to make it appropriate. So when you submit it and it goes through the ATS is just their computer system that a lot of these companies use to go through thousands of applications, and they're looking for keywords. And so if your resume is not in the proper format, it'll just discard it. The program can't read it, so it'll just discard it. Teal will format your resume in a format that ATS will read it. Okay, now you have to do a little bit of work and put the keywords in there. And I'm not guaranteeing you that you'll get a interview or a call back, but it'll help you out. Teal.com is probably the easiest way to go if you've never written a resume before. So until next time, guys, just know that you have something that makes you special. You have something that makes you unique. Identify what it is, maximize it to its fullest potential, and I know you'll be successful. All right. And for the people out there who are telling you you need to know what you want to do when you get out. I've been out 2 years. I still don't know I just knew I wanted to work. That's it. And that's what I'm doing is I'm working. I'm getting this PhD. I know with my PhD, I do not want to teach and I do not want to do research. I want to work for a private company making buku bucks. And that's it. That's what I want to do with my PhD. So I'm narrowing it down, right? Everybody says you have to have a plan. You can come up with your plan as you go, right? Just have some idea, right? And it's okay. Don't fall into the traps that a lot of people do where, you find a job, you're pretty happy, and I have to go find a next job, and then a next job. You don't have to job skip. If you're happy where you are, or if it's okay, then stay. There's nothing wrong with it. All right. So until next time, guys, I'll talk to you later. Oh, and by the way, Vlad Putin, thanks for downloading my podcast. And I'm going to assume that there are a few Marines out there downloading this, so I appreciate it. Marines working in embassies, you guys are awesome. Or maybe it's Vlad Putin and the Axis of Evil. I don't know. I'm hoping I get one download from North Korea. If I can get one download from North Korea, that's going to make my century. All right, I'm not going to lie. So until next time, guys. We'll talk to you later. Zot, zot, zot. Roll Tide.